can you believe that you have a 10-month-old baby? Time passes by so quickly, doesn't it? And in a blink of an eye, they've gone from this to being 10 months old. Their first birthday is only 2 months away. This is Clara, by the way. She is my 4-month-old baby. I have 2 older children as well. And welcome to this series all about developmental milestones and how to play with your baby. If you have a slightly younger baby and you've just stumbled across this one, then I have videos leading all the way up to this. And if you want to know how to play with your baby as they get older, then make sure you subscribe, because I am bringing out new videos all the time. Of course, the next one being how to play with your 11-month-old baby. At 10 months old, your baby will have just discovered the joy of dropping things. Now, this might mean sitting at their high chair, dropping their spoon and probably their food onto the floor. It might mean dropping things out of their pushchair as you're walking along, and it can be quite annoying for us as parents, especially when we've just cleaned something and they drop it onto the floor and we have to clean it all over again before they put it back in their mouths. But aside from being a little bit annoying for us, this is actually a great developmental thing that your baby has started to do. That's because dropping things is part of something called a schema, more specifically a trajectory schema. While that sounds fancy, all trajectory schema means is that your baby has started experimenting with dropping things, and they will do it over and over again until their brain makes the learning connections it needs to understand the process. That's what a schema is, doing something over and over again to learn. The trajectory schema is one that involves dropping things and also throwing things. The important thing to know about a schema is that your baby is developing spatial awareness, they're developing a sense of understanding of gravity and cause and effect. Nothing you can do will stop this schema. They need to work through it to understand those things. You can actually make it more fun for them by allowing them opportunities to throw and drop things. And this will probably make it less likely to happen at the times you really don't want it to, like when they're in the pushchair. So why don't you encourage them to throw a ball or other soft toys when they're in a safe space? You could also go outside to do this, of course, or you could go up somewhere high, like if you have a toddler stool or a toddler kitchen aid, or even on a chair if obviously you're supervising closely, and let them drop things from a height and see what happens when they bounce onto the floor. Bouncy balls are great for this, or anything soft. Sometimes when they're dropping food, as well as it being part of this trajectory schema, it can also just mean that they're communicating with you that they're finished or that they've had enough. So be aware of that. And one of the things that you might want to do is teach them the baby sign for all done or finished. All done, finished. So start with 2 fists, hold them together, and then you splay your hands out to the side. Finished, all done. Have a practice with your babies and try this week to integrate it into your everyday conversation. At 10 months old, you might start to hear your baby try to experiment with their first words. Now, this doesn't mean that your baby will be talking by now. Some babies might be, but it's quite unusual. You might hear the odd word or two, and the most common first words, do you know what they are for babies? They are mama and dada. In part because they are one of the words that our babies hear most often, but also because the and the d sound are easier for their mouths to make. You might also see your baby start to cruise at this stage. No, that doesn't mean that they're setting sail on a cruise ship, but it does mean that they are starting to move while holding onto pieces of furniture. So if you've got a baby that can stand up already while holding onto something, this is often the natural next step. Your baby doesn't have to be standing independently for them to cruise. They don't have to be able to pull themselves up to stand independently, although we'll come on to that in a second. All they have to do is hold on to something and then start to walk a little bit like a crab along whatever they're holding onto. Common things are sofas and coffee tables, but really, once they're into it, they will start to cruise along anything and everything that they can get their hands on. So this is a good time to make sure that you baby-proof your space, to make sure that when you're allowing your child independent free play time, there's nothing that they can hold onto and cruise along that's going to move. For example, a computer chair or something else with wheels, or something that's really light that they will be able to push over if they're leaning on it. If you want to play with your baby while they're cruising and to encourage this skill, because it's a great first pre-walking skill for them to have, then grab one of their favourite toys and put it on the surface that they're holding onto, whether that's the sofa or the coffee table or wherever else, and then slowly move it along to different stations along the sofa. So every time your baby gets a little bit closer, move the toy along and along so that they keep on having to move to be able to get to the toy. Sometimes our babies get their legs a little bit muddled while they're doing this, and there's absolutely nothing wrong with you helping them, especially to make sure that their legs are in an A-frame stance. So just separating them gently, ever so slightly, so that your babies have that stability, and kind of helping them to move their legs a little bit just so they get the hang of what they're supposed to be doing. These activities are never a must do. Your baby will learn to walk without doing any of this, but it's just fun sometimes to help encourage the skill and play with them in a way that's meaningful to them at this stage. Another good cruising activity is grabbing some of your baby's favourite toys. I like teething toys for this one because they're quite small and light, and masking taping them to a surface like a patio door, or if you've got a long breakfast bar, probably not a wall because it will pull off the paint, but any kind of hard long surface that you have like that. And then as your baby reaches one, they have to pull it, and the masking tape obviously will hold it on, and they have to pull it off. And then you can encourage them, once they've done that one, to cruise along and get the next one and pull it off. And as they get better, they'll be lightning fast, and they treat it almost like a little race to see how quickly they can pull off the objects. So let's talk then about pulling up to stand. Pulling up to stand is quite a specific skill. It doesn't mean standing independently, and it doesn't mean standing holding on to you. It means being able to get up from seated or kneeling position, that's even harder, and independently pull themselves up to stand up. Often you might find that babies don't develop this skill until after they learn to stand independently, and some babies don't even develop this skill until after they take their first steps because they're using different muscles. Pulling up to stand requires real core muscle strength and upper body strength as well to be able to pull themselves up to that standing position, as well as obviously using their legs. As you sit on the floor with your baby, you will likely become their favourite climbing frame as they use you to pull themselves up from the floor to the standing position. Again, this can be quite annoying, especially if your hair is involved in the pulling up part. Ouch. But your baby is developing a really great skill. You can also help them by providing lower surfaces, again, like a coffee table or a small stool or table, for them to be able to use to help them pull themselves up to stand. And this goes along with my other point about making sure your space is baby proofed so that these things do not move or fall over when your baby is pulling up onto them. Now, although your baby may not be speaking reams and reams or at all at 10 months old, they will start to recognise the names of familiar people and objects around them. Our baby's understanding of language happens much more rapidly than their ability to speak words. You can try playing a little game with your baby by asking, "Where's Mummy?" or "Where's Cat?" or "Where's" whatever their favourite toy, and see if they will look around the room to try and find them. It's a really great game to play, especially if the item isn't in view. You can do a little bit of hide and seek or peekaboo by hiding the object behind your back or underneath something and asking, "Where's it gone?" And then your baby will look around to try and find it because they're recognising the name of that object, and also, of course, using that skill that we talked about in the 9-month update of object permanence and understanding that although they can't see something, it is still there. Try a little experiment with your baby to see how many names they recognise or how many objects they recognise. I bet you'll be surprised by how many words they understand at this stage. You may also see them point to the objects to show you that they understand what you're saying. Rupert, gonna have a kiss? Mwah. Oh, thank you. Rupert, can you clap your hands? Can you clap your hands? Yeah. Can you wave hello? Can you wave hello? Wave hello. Rupert, can you wave hi? Wave. Can you wave? Hi. You're clapping your hands. Rupert, can you dance? Yeah. Good dancing. I'm going to have one more kiss. Thank you. It goes without saying that your baby is an individual and they develop uniquely at their own pace. So although these are all things that 10 months old may do and may enjoy playing, that doesn't mean that your baby will enjoy playing with them or will be doing these things at this stage. It's absolutely nothing to worry about or be concerned about because our babies develop at different rates, and just because your baby isn't doing one thing that your friend's baby's doing, the likelihood is that they're doing something else that your friend's baby isn't doing. If you'd like to learn more about how to play with your 10-month-old, then why not join our free baby classes? They happen every week here on YouTube, and we've got playlists upon playlists of old classes that you can go back through as well. They're a really great way of bonding with your baby and they are absolutely free. I will leave the playlist linked down below. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel for more videos coming up like this. And if you did like this video, it would mean so very much to me if you just head on down there and hit that like button. Thank you very much for watching this one, Clara, even though she's asleep. And I thank you, and we will see you all next time. Bye everybody.